the angle was not given, and you were given the ratio or the trigonometric ratio, the value of the trigonometric ratio. So you're supposed to determine the size of the angle. Now, to do that, you have to use a second function on the calculator, or you have to use the shift function on your calculator. All right? Now, to do it, if you take out your calculator, all right, I just want to show you now. Okay, yesterday, I'm sure Seth showed you that, or he told you. Now, if you go back to the same buttons we used previously, the one for sine, cos, and tan. If you look, there is also a function which is in brown for your, okay, on your calculator, I'm not sure what color it is, but on mine it will be light brown. Now that function, which is, okay, it is pronounced as arc sine, okay? The function looks like this. Sine with a -1, or cosine with a -1, and you also have a tan with a -1. Okay? In mathematics, when we pronounce it correctly, you pronounce this as arc sine. Okay, like this. Okay, the proper word is arc sine. Like that. For cos, it will be arc cos. And then for tan, it will be arc tan. So if you hear me saying arc cos, arc tan, arc sine, means we are trying to determine the angle. Okay, but generally it is simplified by teachers by just saying shift sine, shift cos, shift tan. But the correct way of saying it is to write it, is to say it as arc sine, arc cos, arc tan. Right? So if you have got your calculator, okay, the scientific one, which I assume that everybody has got, you see those functions. So you have to press shift first, then you press sine there. Then you put the value of the ratio. All right? And your ratio, remember, for sine, it must be between -1 and +1. For cos, it must be between -1 and +1. For tan, it can be any value. So you put the ratio there. You can do the same also for cos. So shift cos, you get that arc cos, which is cos of -1. Okay, please don't interpret it as if you are interpreting an exponent, which is just a notation. All right? Then you can also press shift, then tan. You can end up having the same function. So we use those functions to determine the sizes of angles. And they are very important when you're solving trig equations, and later on when you are trying to determine the size of an angle inside a triangle, which is something that you never did in grade 8 and in grade 9. Okay? In grade 8 and 9, you never calculate the size of angles except in geometry, when you were given the maybe two angles inside and you're supposed to calculate the third one. But this time around, you're going to use a calculator to determine the size of an interior angle. All right? So that's what you got here. So you did some of these examples, isn't it? Right, so I'll just talk about maybe one or two. Let me just talk about number 2. We go back to the basics. So if you have got cosine of theta is equal to 0.866 like this. Please be aware that this 0.866 is your ratio. That's the ratio. Okay? Then we need to calculate the size of the angle theta. Okay? So to do that, we take this cos to the right, so that we end up having theta equal to shift cos or arc cos of 0.866. This is how you write it. Okay? It's very important for you to be familiar with how to write it down. So from the first step there, cos theta equal to 0.866, because we want to calculate the size of theta, we remove the cos on the left, we take to the right, it becomes cos of -1, or you can call it shift cos, or you can call it arc cos. Then we left with theta only on the left. This is new to you, okay? You have never done this before, So be aware of this. Then we use the calculator. There's some sunlight that was shining on my board. I cannot see properly. Right. So from here now, we want to calculate the size of theta. So it will be shift cos of what? 0.866. Then you close the bracket. Right. Whatever answer you get here, it's an angle. Okay, so it has to be in degrees. Now, generally, we round off, and here what is that now? We give it 2 decimal places. So, if you round off this 30,00291,093, the answer that you get is going to be theta will equal to 30,00 degrees. The answer will be in degrees to 2 decimal places. All right? Please be aware, if you use shift cos, shift sine, shift tan, you'll be calculating an angle. So you must put the degree sign. Okay? Then, so this was number 2. Then number 6, you have got tan theta is equal to 1. Alright? We do the same. We want to calculate theta, so we take the tan to the right, then the equation becomes theta equal to shift tan of 1. Okay? Fortunately, I know the value of shift tan of the 1 because of experience, but I'll just show you from the calculator. Right? So this will be shift tan of 1. Right? And then you will get 45 degrees. Okay? So shift tan of 1 gives you 45 degrees. So theta will be 45 degrees. All right? Please take note of how I'm writing from the initial question to finding theta. And this is part of your assignment that you write on the 3rd of May. Are you following? Right? Any questions so far? I'm just consolidating what Minister Dana also taught you yesterday. The good thing is we've got some technology, so I'm showing you the calculator on the board, but you can see it more clearly than I'm doing the work in our thing. Anybody else got a question? Okay, you don't have a question? Then let's just carry on. Now, the trigonometric equations, they start with simple ones like the first 2 examples that I just did. Then they become a little bit complex, okay? And they'll become more complex in grade 11 and in grade 12. So here, I'm not sure that you did all of these yesterday. All of them. Okay. So let me just do from number 2. Maybe I'll do number 2, then I'll do number 3, then number 6. Yes. Okay. Number 1 looks like number 3. Yeah. It's exactly the same. So we have got cos 3 theta equal to 0.33. Cos 3 theta equal to 0.33. Now I want you to be aware that this question here, I'll show you 2 methods, okay, of doing it. But then you can decide now which method you prefer. So let's start. Let me call this one here method 1. Okay, this is method 1. So with method 1, you need to be aware that your angle here is not theta. The angle is 3 times theta. Okay, the angle is not theta, it's 3 times what? Theta. So what you do, you take the cos, the right, and then you're left with 3 theta. Alright? Then on the right hand side, you end up having shift cos of 0,33. The objective is to calculate theta, but the theta is being multiplied by 3. So the whole angle is equal to 3 theta. Okay? Then we need to find the size of the angle on the right hand side. So we'll bring in our calculator, right? Press shift, then cos. Now here it's cos 0,33. Okay? Like that. So you can see that. Right? So one day I can increase the size of this calculator. So you get your angle as 70,73122,451. Now in this case, because this is not our final answer, we don't have to round it off. Okay? We only round off the what? The final answer. So allow me to write this as 70,731 dot dot because I just want to save space. Right? So this will be 70, right? 70,731. 731. Okay, by putting those dots, I'm saying there are other digits after that one there, right? Then you divide both sides by 3. And please be aware that on my calculator, I did not delete the answer I got from using shift cos. Okay, so if you go back to the calculator, the size of shift cos of 0,33 is still there. So all I have to do now is just divide this by what? By 3. I did not round it off, then divide by 3. I'm using the original. Can you stop talking at the back? Stop talking. Right? So the answer that you get. Okay. Let me redo it. Shift cost. Okay, it cost for some reason. Right? Now I'm just gonna divide this by 3. Okay. So the answer that you get there is gonna be 23,58 to 2 decimal places. But here it says correct to 1 decimal place, which means it's gonna be 23,6. Okay? Remember, if you are rounding off to 1 decimal place, you look at the second digit after the comma. If you are rounding off to 2 decimal places, you look at the third digit. If the digit is less than 5, you just add 0 to the second. If the digit is more than 5, you add 1 to that second digit. That's how you round off. Right? So the answer here will be 23,6. So theta will be 23,6 degrees. Okay? Theta is an angle. You following that? Huh? Yeah. You must look at how I'm writing it down. The way that I am writing it down in terms of the notation. Now let's talk about method 2. Okay, method 2. Method 2 involves introducing a new variable. Okay? If you feel that you don't understand this, then maybe you might need method 2. So with method 2, our equation is cos 3 theta equal to 0,33. In this case, we assume that we have a problem with understanding this. Alright? Therefore, you can say let x be equal to 3 theta. Okay? We are introducing a new variable. Let x be equal to 3 theta. Yes. 3 theta. Right? Because remember I said our angle here is not theta, it's 3 theta. That's our angle. Then the equation will become cos x equal to 0.33. What this means is we need to calculate x first. Then, if we know x, we can eventually calculate the value of theta. Right? So this will become x equal to shift cos of 0.33. Okay? Now, if I use my calculator here, I already know, okay, so shift cos of 0.33, like that. It gives me this value, 70.731, right? So I'll just say 70.731, now put dot dot here. The reason why I'm putting the dots because that's not the final answer, but I need that answer to calculate theta. You can only round off your final answer. If it's not the final answer, you are not supposed to round off. So I know this is x. So from here now, we know that 3 theta is x. Please be aware that this is the same as 3 theta is x. Okay? It's the same. Okay? So if I want to calculate theta now, I just have to replace the x by 70.731. Then I divide both sides by what? By 3. Okay? So if you go back to the calculator, all I have to do is divide this answer here by 3. And you get 23.6. Right? So theta is equal to 23.6. Okay? So either way, you should get the same answer. But you should decide now whether you prefer the first method or you prefer the second method. Okay? The second method may be helpful because from my experience, some learners will divide both sides by 3 first. I've seen all sorts of things being written in the past. So if you use that method 2, it will be fine. If you understand method 1, that's also fine. Yes? It's more like 50. Right? But more marks will be on the geometry side. But it's close. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? Okay, let's do number 6. So number 6 is 4 tan 4 theta is equal to 4. Okay? Now, here, please be aware that tan 4 theta is one number. And the 4 theta is one number. Our coefficient is a 4. The coefficient of tan 4 theta is a 4. So the first thing is to divide by the coefficient of tan 4 theta, which is this 4 here. Okay? So we need to isolate the tan 4 theta first. So this will become 4 tan 4 theta all over 4. This is equal to 4 over 4. Please don't get confused here. This 4 here, this 4 is this 4 here. That's 4. Don't think about, see in this question here, we have got 3 4s, right? 3 4s. So this 4 here is the same as that, the same as this. Don't stress yourself about this 4 thing. Don't do anything to it at this stage. Don't even think about dividing both sides by that 4. Don't even think about that, right? And don't do anything to that 4. So So first we have to isolate the tan 4 theta by dividing both sides by the first 4. Alright? Then, so here you end up getting tan 4 theta is equal to 1. Tan 4 theta is equal to 1. Alright? Now, from here, based on the previous example, don't touch the 4 theta. It's one angle. All you have to do is take the tan to the right so that you'll be left with 4 theta is equal to shift tan of 1. The good thing, I know that shift tan of 1 is 45, but I'll just show you because this is, okay, it's more like you are still new to this. So shift tan of 1, like that, that will give us a 45. Shift tan of 1 will give us a 45. So I'll put 45 here. This is 45 degrees. And on the left, I'll have 4 theta. Okay? Okay? Then we divide both sides by 4. Okay? So if you divide both sides by 4, you end up getting 11.25. Now, we need to round off that to one decimal place. So that will be 11.3. So this will become 11.3 degrees. 11.3 degrees. Are you following there? Right, any questions so far? Any question? Okay. You don't have a question, then allow me to move on to another example. Yes? So basically, the first example for it's always like those two numbers stay divided. Even if they are not the same, you have to divide by the coefficient of tan first, or sine or cos. But don't touch the angle here. Don't divide by it by the coefficient of the letter. In this case, we have got theta, and don't divide by the coefficient of x or y when you still have tan, sine, or cos on the left. You can only divide by the coefficient of theta if the tan or the sine or the cos is now on the what? Right hand side. Are you following that? Right. So let's do now. This is now C. Now these questions now they're slightly more complex than the first one that I did and the second one. This is slightly more complex, but the concept is still what? The same. Right? So did you do questions like this yesterday? No. Huh? Okay. All right. Can I have your attention? So I'm going to show you number 2 and number 4. Because number 1 and 3, they are almost like number 2. So if I do number 2, you should be able to do number 1, you should be able to do what? Number 3. Is that clear? Right. So number 2, we have got 3 cosine of x plus 30 degrees. This is equal to 2,121. Okay? First, you must isolate the cos here. And you need to be aware that this x plus 30 degrees. That's one angle. So don't do anything to it. Right? Eliminate this 3 here on the left. Obviously, we can only eliminate it by dividing both sides by 3. Okay? So, our next step is to divide both sides by 3. And when you divide by 3 here, this 3, pay attention, this 3 does not divide the 30. Please. But this 3 here, this 3, okay, this 3 is only divided by that 3. Never divide this 30 by this 3. Okay? Because I know that some of you, as learners, you can end up doing that. So once we do this, we end up getting cosine of x plus 30 degrees is equal to 2,121 over 3. Please, it's not necessary for you to convert this to a decimal. Okay? Because you can put it in the calculator as it is. Okay? If you decide to divide 2,121 by 3, you get an answer which is a decimal, but it's not necessary to do that. Now, when you get here now, we want to isolate the x plus 30 degrees. Well, this is our angle. So we take the cos to the right, it becomes shift cos, right? So you end up having x plus 30 degrees is equal to shift cos of this fraction here, 2,121 2,121 over 3. Okay? Following that. Then, from here, you need to find what is shift cos of that fraction. So you take out your calculator, right? The reason why I said you don't have to go to divide that and get a decimal because it can waste time for you. So what you can do is shift cosine, then can you look please? Can you look? Okay? The reason why I'm using this emulator is for you to be able to see what I'm doing because using a calculator is a very important skill in maths. It's a very, very important skill. So shift cos, our ratio there is a fraction. So put the fraction option. Can you look please? It's better for you to stop writing for a while and look at what I'm doing. This is 2,121. Right? Then you put your denominator, that's 3. Then you close the bracket. Right? Okay? I didn't bother to divide the 2,121 by 3, then write the answer down. You'll be wasting time. Right? So then you click that. So the angle, the size of the angle, well, in this case, they didn't tell us to what decimal place, but let's round off to what? 2 decimal places. So this will be 45,01. But we have to take the angle as it is because it's not the final answer. We only round off the final answer. So I'll leave it as it is in my calculator. I'll come back. So I'll just write it 45,008 dot dot. So it means this becomes x plus 30 degrees is equal to 45,008 dot dot. Right? Then to calculate x, I now need to take this 30 degrees. Remember, this is an angle. This 30 degrees here, I'll take it the what? To the right. So you end up having x equal to 45,008 dot dot minus what? 30 degrees. So let's find the answer. Then I'll go back to my calculator. I still have got my original angle, which is not rounded off. Right? So I'll just subtract 30 degrees. And then I'll get 15,01. So my final answer will be 15,01 degrees. That's x. Are you following there? Right. Maybe we can call this one method 1 as well. Okay, we can call it method 1. Let's call it method 1. Method 2, we can use that substitution method. But instead of using x now, we have to use a different letter. We can't use x anymore. You can use y, you can use theta, you can use beta, you can use alpha. You can use any other letter you might think of. Okay? But how now? Okay, let me show you. So that's method 1. Method 2. Okay, then but we've got a question so far. For which part? Okay, if a question like this may be 3-4 marks. Alright. So method 2. Method 2. Can you pay attention? Method 2, so I've got 3 cos x plus 6. Okay? 3 cosine x plus 30 degrees is equal to 2,121. Alright? Now, the first thing, obviously,